ha, 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 yeah, ha, 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 ha. The Vancouver Canucks, baby. They want to be competitive this year. They want to go out there and compete for a playoff spot this year. They believe that it's just been the injuries that have been the problem with this team. But where are the Vancouver Canucks in the year 2025, 2026? I'll tell you where they are. They are at the bottom of the barrel. Ladies and gentlemen, the Vancouver Canucks are last place in the National Hockey League. Oh my goodness. 27 games played. 10 wins. 14 regulation losses and 3 overtime or shootout losses. Ladies and gentlemen, the Vancouver Canucks are last place in the National Hockey League when you sort by points. Now, if you sort by points percentage, Vancouver's second last. They are underneath Nashville, St. Louis, Buffalo, everybody else. It's kind of ridiculous that there are 27 plus teams that are at or above 500. Means a lot of loser points are being handed out, and a lot of teams near the bottom are just giving away free points. That happens to be Vancouver, by the way. They've got 23 points in 27 games. Calgary has 1 more point, but they've got 2 more games played, so they have the lowest points percentage on the year. But for all intents and purposes, Vancouver's last. They are at the bottom of the barrel. They're at the bottom of the league. Quinn Hughes is totally leaving, isn't he? He wants to stay with the team where he can win. He wants to be on a team where he can have a reasonable chance to contend every year. Sorry, buddy. The Vancouver Canucks are at the very bottom. Does not seem like that's going to happen, and I wanted to go out there and respond to some of the discourse about this team in response to all of that. But before we dive fully into the draft lottery and whatnot, I wanted to just head over to the subreddit and see where things are going. Take a look at this, eh? So we are here on Our Canucks. One of the top posts made by Gangstar P. Madem straight up goes out there and asks, hey, how good is Gavin Mckenna compared to both Bedard and Celebrini? Obviously, McKenna is the projected first overall pick in this year's 2026 draft, and don't worry, we'll start getting into draft-related content sooner rather than later on this YouTube channel. McKenna is pretty darn good, but not really on the Celebrini-Bedard level. Plus, he is a winger, not great draft for centers. I mean, there's an entire write-up over here going out there and talking about McKenna and Bedard, the comparisons. McKenna is solid, Bedard and Celebrini are different beasts. I think I'm slowly getting on the Stenberg bandwagon. Yeah, okay, let's go out there and see what else the draft has in store in that regard. You had Paper Moonshine going out there and celebrating the fact that Vancouver is 32nd in the National Hockey League. We're still going to be competitive. Okay, we're going to censor that. You didn't see nothing, folks. You didn't see nothing. Stop the count. McKenna boarding a plane to YVR as we speak. Feels good, but there is plenty of time left for them to mess this up. Typical Canucks would be Demko coming back, playing 45 games at Vezina Trophy level, making the climb back to just being out of the playoffs. Yeah, that would be a totally typical Canucks. But for right now, if you head over to the NHL Draft lottery odds, Vancouver has the second best odds at grabbing first overall, with a 13.5% chance. We all recognize that there is some trauma there. Vancouver was second worst in the NHL in 2017, and they slipped from second overall all the way to fifth. Colorado that season went from first overall to fourth, but I think it worked out because they ended up taking Cale Makar in that year. Vancouver took Elias Pettersson. But that season literally had some archaic rules, because back in 2017, any team could move down 3 spots. Nowadays, it's not like that. If the Vancouver Canucks went out there and got the second best lottery odds, they could not move past 4. The worst they could do is 4. And that's admittedly not that bad. There are no more 3 lottery systems being done for these drafts now. There's only 2. So with all that in mind, it does leave Vancouver in a pretty good spot to get a high draft pick in this year's upcoming selection, which is probably why it was a very good thing that Vancouver did not want to trade that first. Now, let's head over to Jason Bucala's 2026 draft rankings article and just talk about some of the guys that could be available if Vancouver decides to kind of stay the course and not make any panic trades, not trade away their first, and not get any immediate upgrades that help the team win 3 or 4 more games, pulling their draft lottery odds from 2nd overall all the way to 6th or something. If you go over here, the number 1 prospect by Bucala is actually Keaton Verhoff, the D-man playing for North Dakota in the NCAA. He's been averaging over 20 minutes a game in his freshman year at North Dakota, and the bulk of his shifts come at even strength and on the power play. When he isn't contributing offensively, he's providing consistent detail defensively. He's +3 to start the year and earning more trust in all situations as his game continues to mature. Right-shot defensemen with Verhoff's size and skill are highly valuable assets at the NHL level. At this stage of the year, Verhoff is Bucala's number 1 ranked prospect, and he ended up writing more about it in depth as well. He currently has 8 points in 13 games with the North Dakota Fighting Hawks, 6'4", 212. Projected as a top-pairing defenseman by the Pro Hockey Group. Number 2 overall is that Gavin Mckenna, who unfortunately, we haven't made any videos about this yet this year, but Mckenna has had a pretty rough season in the NCAA comparative to what people thought he would be able to do. People were kind of labeling Adam Fantilli-esque expectations as a freshman in the league that season, but unfortunately, it just hasn't really come out here. Take a look at the write-up. On November 14th, the Nittany Lions were defeated 7-1 in their game versus Michigan. Penn State had been suffering through some significant growing pains as a team before that game. They were swept the previous weekend at Michigan State. But to their credit, they dug in and have persevered since that night, running off 3 straight wins. In McKenna's first 10 games, he contributed 14 points, but he was a -8. Since the lopsided Michigan defeat, he has 4 assists in his last 3 games, and he is +3. His attention to detail off the puck and effort tracking back the entire length of the ice has noticeably improved. McKenna averages over 21 minutes of ice time per game, with the majority of his shifts coming in at even strength and the power play. His 18 points land him in the top 20 of NCAA scoring. I only require McKenna to commit to average results defensively. I recognize his elite offensive element is what projects him as a top-line NHL forward. If he continues to play the way he has in his last 3 games, he will undoubtedly retake the 1st overall ranking in Bucala's list. But here's the thing, it's not really easy to see the number 1 overall guy get dethroned this early on into the year. Gavin Mckenna is still ranked number 1 by a lot of folks. I mean, you head over here, his consolidated ranking is number 1. He's won by Cam, won by Craig, won by Kennedy, won by Chris Peters, won by Daily Faceoff, but Sam Constantino and Bucala each have him at number 2. So there is debate here for the young White Horse Yukon Territories born forward. But, as it was highlighted by some other Canucks fans, maybe Mckenna shouldn't even be seen as the prize. Take a look at Ivar Stenberg, left wing, 5'11", 183 pounds, playing for Frölunda in the SHL. A young player who is having an incredible season at the pro level in Sweden's top league. He's averaging .95 points per game, despite only being deployed for around 13 minutes of ice time per game. At the time of writing, Stenberg had produced 17 assists and 5 goals in his first 23 SHL games, for 22 points. Bucala says he's been tracking Stenberg for the past 2 years. He's part of the leadership group on the Swedish national team and will be a key member of their roster for the World Junior Tournament in Minneapolis at the end of the month. Stenberg has the hockey sense and commitment to be used in a variety of roles, and in time he will mature into a complete player at the NHL level. He is stocky and strong, plays fast, and is always engaged in the trenches. He is a relentless competitor. And you have the fact that he's literally outscoring everybody here. Daniel, Henrik Sedin, Elias Lindholm, Nick Backstrom, Leo Carlsson, William Eklund. Stenberg has more points per game than all these guys as a draft-eligible player. And so, with that in mind, seems like the Vancouver Canucks could be getting themselves a pretty talented player if they stay in this spot of the draft ranking position. And I want you to let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. How do you feel about these potential names being Canucks and the fact that Vancouver's literally last in the National Hockey League? Thoughts in the comment section below about Gavin Mckenna, Keaton Verhoff. You've got Stenberg as well doing some damage in the SHL. I mean, getting another Swede wouldn't be a bad thing. It just has to be the right fit, I would think. Thoughts in the comment section below about Vancouver and how they're ranked so lowly here in the standings so far. I hope you enjoyed this video. And bye.